Welcome investors, and thanks for joining us on your Investment Advisor channel, where we decipher the market so you can make actionable investment steps. I'm Jake Ackerman. Oh no, the debt default is happening. The U.S. economy is going under. They're not going to agree, and we are going to be in total chaos. The housing market is going to collapse. The bond market is going to collapse. What are we going to do? The dollar is in decline. The reserve currency is over with for the U.S. dollar. The dollar dominance is kaput. This week, the market rises in the spite and in the face of all that I just said. Let's take a look under the hood and see what's going on. The debt default, we've heard it on the news for the last month. The Republicans control the Congress, and the White House is controlled by Joe Biden, the Democrat administration. The Senate is also controlled by the Democrats, but the House and the Senate need to agree in order to get this package, the debt ceiling raised, and on to Joe Biden for the signature. But here's the deal. Let me show you something. Take a look real fast. This will put it into context for you all. Since March 1962, we've had the debt ceiling raised 74 times, according to the Congressional Research Service. So we've been through this 74 different times, and prior to where we are right now, they've always come up with a deal. Now, as we've been coming along, we're much more divided as a society. The debt ceiling raise timeline gets closer and closer and closer to that actual deadline. This deadline is June 1st, but they always do come up with an agreement. The Democrats don't always get all that they want. The Republicans don't always get what they want, but they do meet in the middle and get that debt ceiling raised and passed to benefit all of the U.S. population and America's economy. So what is going to happen this time? Most likely, they're going to come up with a deal. Both sides, Kevin McCarthy and Joe Biden, they're both sending some of their staff members to come up with an agreement that they're going to hash out, and then President Joe Biden will sign it and get that debt ceiling raised and us not defaulting our debt, which you hear on the political news station that it is a catastrophe in the waiting. It's going to take place. I mean, it would be an extremely bad thing. Would it be a catastrophe? I mean, only time and that actually taking place will tell. Would there be severe consequences that the U.S. government doesn't pay on its debt obligations? Absolutely, there would be ramifications. But I digress. That they're most likely, the high probability that they're going to come up with an agreement that both sides will compromise on, and then we'll move past that. Now, for you as an investor, given the fact that we are in a state where there is limited compromise, neither side wants to compromise in anything. There's massive polarization between political parties and us as a society. Given those facts, should we be prepared? Absolutely. Absolutely, we should be prepared. You need to have a plan in place in case the low chance that they don't come up with agreement, and maybe it's a political flip of a coin that one side or the other side says, hey, this is going to benefit our political party more than coming up with an agreement. We just don't do it. We just blame the other side. That is a possibility that you need to absolutely be prepared for. Don't be unprepared and then have an emotional reaction, because when that happens, most investors, 9 out of 10 times, make a mistake when they react based on emotions. A lot of times, if you're not prepared for this and you see the market going down, sometimes it's best to do absolutely nothing. Sitting on the sidelines is okay. But again, be prepared. Talk to your financial professional. You be prepared and come up with a plan for yourself. But again, if you don't and you think the odds, which they are in the favor of a compromise, just sit tight. Continue on your investment plan and let this thing blow over like it has 74 times in the past. All right, I've been getting calls for the last month consistently asking me what we're going to do about the dollar in demise. That's no longer going to be the reserve currency. You have Brazil, you have China, you have Iran, you have Russia, all trading in another currency. So my clients want to know what's going on. What do you want to know what's going on? Here's a statistic. 80% of transactions, roughly 80% of transactions are still being done in the US dollar. The dollar is dominant. It is the world reserve currency. There is no second contender. China is the #2 economy, but China, I mean, their real estate market's on the brink of collapse. You can't trust any data that comes out of China because they alter the facts. They are the Communist Party of China. So, dollar dominance. Now, if we continue to put an endless amount of money like we're doing right now, does that dollar in jeopardy? Absolutely. Is it in jeopardy the next 5 years? Probably not. So the undue panic is unnecessary. Let's take a look at the actual value of the dollar. I pulled up a chart here since 1980. Look at the value of the dollar. It's got its ups and downs. It's got its peaks and valleys. But I mean, where we are today is roughly where we were just pre-pandemic. Now, with that in mind, the dollar had an extraordinary run last year in 2022. And the reason for that is the Fed hiked rates at an astronomical level. I mean, we haven't seen a rate-raising campaign since the 80s to combat this inflation enemy, and they had to do what they had to do, which caused the dollar to rise in value because they were tightening monetary policy, making the dollars harder to acquire. That brings scarcity, raises the value. Now the market is anticipating the Fed to no longer tighten monetary policy, have some kind of Fed pause, and that is why you're seeing the value of the dollar come down. Not extraordinary levels down, just coming down back to equilibrium because monetary policy is loosening. The dollar is easier to obtain. Now, is that going to take place for the rest of the year? That's to be determined. Specifically revolved around the banking issue. Even if the Fed doesn't tighten monetary policy anymore, the banks are going to tighten their lending standards. You already see it across the board. So, you know, does the dollar continue to go down? That's to be determined. But we're at levels right now that should not bring you any concern as of yet. It's something to be aware of, but hopefully that brought some clarity to your mind and eased your mind and thinking about the dollar is going away. It's not even close. Very dominant. 80% of transactions are in the US dollars. It's going to be all right. Now, let's take a look at where the market is this week. So as of recording this, the market's up 1.44% over the past 5 trading days. Given the debt ceiling crisis, inflation, dollar demise, why is the market rising? And simply because the dollar is anticipating that there's most likely going to be a deal on the debt ceiling. So we can put that behind us. Inflation data has been coming in. It's been coming in better than expected. It's been coming down. It's been transitioning down since June of 2022. So the market is starting to put that behind it. And the rate-raising campaign of the Fed, where they're tightening monetary policy, it looks to be done. It looks to be where they're done raising rates. And that's why the market is starting to price in. Inflation fight is over for now, and the Fed is not going to tighten rates anymore. So the market's pricing in weeks and weeks in advance before that mid-June Fed meeting. So that's why we're seeing the markets rally. Now we do have PCE data next Friday, and that's going to be a really important, that's going to hammer the fact home that the Fed is done raising rates with some good PCE data. That's what we need to continue on this rally. Now, we've had a really good rally so far for this year, so stay tuned to next week when we tell you our plan and how we're going to anticipate the Fed no longer hiking rates. And the truth is, we've already anticipated it, we've made our moves, so we'll talk about our next plan of action and how you can make actionable investment steps. Thanks for joining me. Expertise you deserve, experience you can count on. Jake Ackerman.